large parts of the country, and it ends with the world grappling a deadly pandemic. While you are hunkering down and trying to keep across these mad, mad times, here at A Current Affair, we never stop bringing you the stories you needed to see, keeping you informed and making you laugh and sometimes cry. Here's to the year that was 2020.
So what have you got to say to this boy's parents about, wow?
Any idea why police are looking at your property?
You don't want to explain to your fellow Victorians how you were able to get out of there during stage 4 lockdown?
Please stay at home.
Father, have you sinned?
The cruelest thing about dementia is it disempowers the person that suffers the condition, but it doesn't really empower people around them to cope.
You're being a big bully to me now as well.
A year ago, we couldn't have contemplated, any of us, I think, the world we're living in today.
He used to piece in the wine industry and the export industry, and any time's a good time for wealth.
That's it, New Year's Eve. Oh, I wanted Current Affair. Oh, it's on, but I can't turn a couple of hours.
Trapped under blood-red skies, it was a fiery start to 2020. A catastrophic
So
summer,
at 9:10 of New
devastating
Year's Eve
for so many.
2020, we are right.
These residents, they have no way to
That'll
get
take
in
you through to
or out.
New Year's Eve countdown.
early on, and
Minnie
ABC
Becker was
running
on the
for
front
Victoria
line
or
as
something.
we watched Malakuta burn.
It was me and the kids, and we had this blanket wet.
You can see him when going lie down.
This fire
So
is
Jordan
a
comes in here
beast
if
of
you
a
want.
thing on a scale that we find impossible to imagine.
Oh, I'm gonna go
Australians
watch
were
my film.
hemmed in across the country. Picturesque coastal towns in New South Wales and Victoria surrounded by ferocious fires.
The kids were just frantic, but they were so appreciative. The parents of us, just, it was just like, wow.
Homes and livelihoods destroyed. Mass evacuations like we have never experienced before.
It's hard to leave, but we've got to go.
Now it's just nothing. Now it's just an expense to pull it down and start again. We've got a town full of tourists, a town full of
God bless you.
people that need help. Now's the time to buck up and get it done.
It was that true Aussie spirit that got us through so much pain and devastation.
My heart breaks like everybody else. It's tough. It's really tough.
Your mother talking to you.
And to stand there and pay tribute and honour such a lovely young man, knowing he leaves behind a beautiful, precious family. If that doesn't affect you, then you're not human.
So many heroes, doing everything they possibly could to save anything in their path.
We've got just such an amazing group of animal lovers. I'm just so proud to be an Aussie right now. It's amazing.
Come on.
Back to the shelter as quickly as possible. So many critically endangered species here in Australia. We don't want to see any more of those guys lost, and particularly such a big icon like the koala.
Harry and Meghan sort of want to keep all of the best bits about being a royal while dispensing with some of their responsibilities.
The royal family were left blindsided when Harry and Meghan called it quits on their royal duties.
It's not enough to just survive something.
It's all about me. In fact, it's them.
You've brought something with you that I think you wanted to share with us.
My sister was so badly burnt that the only thing they could do for a member of, like a memorabilia or anything of her, was a footprint, because the soles of her feet were the only part of her body that weren't burnt.
In an exclusive interview with Tracy Grimshaw, Hannah Clark's family spoke of their unimaginable loss, still coming to terms with the horrific murder of a beautiful mother and her 3 babies at the hands of a monster.
It was always Rowan's way or the highway.
I am a survivor, not a victim. I am in control of my life, and there is nothing I can't achieve. My girls will grow up being strong women.
That's right.
I understand their worth.
Yes. Who sends nudes to a 13-year-old boy?
Dan Nolan confronted exotic dancer Blondie accused of sending sexually explicit messages to an underage boy, exposing more than we expected.
So what have you got to say to this boy's parents about your contact that you've been having with him? Okay. Wow. That's what you'd like to say to this boy's parents?
Thank you very much.
I feel like my job as a mum, I was supposed to protect her and I failed her.
Grieving parents of Renee Marsden, who took her life at the tender age of 20.
She would never know the man she planned to spend her life with didn't exist. The person behind the messages was her friend, Camilla Zaydan.
Her parents call for catfishing to be a crime.
We just don't know what to do.
Reporter Dimity Clancy tackling the taboo subject of youth mental health.
We need to start a conversation. So, we gathered mothers, fathers, friends, advocates, and the experts. They're all about to tell you their stories.
Yeah, this is great because hopefully this will open up the conversation.
COVID-19, the global pandemic that crippled the world, a 1 in 100-year event altering our lives forever.
We're on a ship that seems to be contaminated and we'd like to, I think, get off the ship if we could.
Cruise passengers all across the globe found themselves stranded on coronavirus-stricken cruise lines.
This is John and Carol reporting in.
Aussie families became quarantine reporters for A Current Affair.
More people are being infected now, including Australians. Are you worried?
Yeah, we are worried. We're quite vulnerable now, I think. It just seems that more people are getting infected by the virus.
Are you saying, really, realistically, we shouldn't be thinking that we're going to leave the country for 6 months?
I think it would be very unwise to...
Chief Medical Officer Brendan Murphy became the Prime Minister's right-hand man, advising the government every step of the way.
People are panic buying because they're scared. They feel helpless and they don't know what is about to happen. Are you saying that there is absolutely no chance at all that people are going to be locked into their houses for a prolonged period of time? Ever?
I wouldn't say that ever, because we don't know how this is going to develop.
Miriam, would you like to take this on behalf of Australia? Not keen?
Panic buying hit a whole new low as we witnessed the ugly side of fear.
And then she grabbed my hair, so then I started my hands just went flying. I don't know where I was hitting, who I was hitting.
Our reporter, Alison Petrowski, was one of the first overseas travellers forced to self-isolate, filing this video diary of surviving a lockdown with a toddler.
Can you sing the song for me again? Yeah? Yeah?
What we've realised over this last fortnight is the best place to ride this out is at home with your family. So hug your kids tight.
Stay at home. Please stay at home. Please.
A desperate plea echoed by doctors across Australia and the world.
We really want people to stay home and for the government, please, to impose lockdown till we've got this under control.
The spread of this virus is going to lead to a catastrophe.
You can take the lift on yourself.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, we almost have to take one lift per person.
I reckon you've got to take the stairs.
Take the stairs. All right, cheers. See you later.
Urged to socially distance, Steve Marshall took to the streets to demonstrate just how challenging this new 1.5-metre rule was.
And I somehow have to get the coffee to you. And I've somehow got to pay for it.
When the pandemic came out, mate, and you realised that you couldn't march, what were your thoughts?
Disappointed, yeah.
Anzac Day looked vastly different. No marches, no crowds, no two-up. Brady Halls was there alongside digger Tommy Knox. Keeping his distance, he still marched for his family and mates.
Who's this bloke? It's Tommy Knox, bloke. He's a hero.
It really is an Anzac Day like no other we've seen in Australia before, isn't it?
It's quite strange. I've never seen one where we couldn't congregate to make the day special.
But when the dawn came in our own special way, we still remembered them. Sir Peter Cosgrove joined Deborah Knight as he reflected on Anzac Day of 2020.
We can stop to think of other people on another front line. we need to think about those health workers who are saving lives, making sure people who are ill have got first-class care during this horrible coronavirus period.
Nearly 3 weeks after Australia closed its borders and the Prime Minister told our citizens to come home, 5 intrepid Aussies did quite an extraordinary thing. They boarded a near-empty plane and headed the other way, flying into what was then the worst coronavirus hotspot on the planet.
Northern Italy, hospitals overwhelmed, emergency tent hospitals set up. These incredible Aussie volunteers documented their journey for A Current Affair.
Patients that are passing away quite frequently, that's definitely been a challenge.
It's been exhausting, overwhelming. You know, I shed
You gotta sit properly so I can see the TV.
From Italy to America, countries under siege from this invisible enemy.
In the heart of New York City, one of the world's most famous tourist destinations, in a landmark we all know so well, Central Park, we find a field hospital.
Alexis Daish reported for us from the hotspots.
This is a medical war zone.
We will bring patients, this is not the ICU ward, so these will be patients who are very ill, but are not intensive care unit.
Back home in Australia, lockdowns were in force, schools closed as we desperately tried to flatten the curve. Told to stay at home, even Tracy set up a makeshift studio in her spare room.
Hello, I'm Tracy Grimshaw. Welcome to A Current Affair. Tonight we're coming to you from my bedroom, and there's something I never thought I'd say. It is a little bit cramped, but we have to do it. They're phenomenal things.
Night after night.
What the Prime Minister has done is prepared the nation for the next 6 months.
We brought you the latest from our politicians, even if they bolted mid-interview.
I have to go, Trace, because it's a division.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, all right. I had so many other questions, but bye, I understand you have to go. If we don't get a vaccine, how are we going to reopen our international borders?
Well, that will be very challenging.
We are on high alert.
Medical experts.
But the virus doesn't know if it's at a wedding or a funeral.
Your best protection of all is a vaccine.
As we guided you through uncharted territory.
That day, it was so good. It was a relief, like, to see her. And she needed some fresh air. She was, locked in a room.
There were heartbreaking scenes around the country as our aged care sector bore the brunt of the virus.
Were you surprised, Joyce, that she was diagnosed?
Simon Boda spoke with sisters Mary Watson and Joyce Parker after the death of their mother, whilst living at the now infamous Newmarch nursing home.
You can't have more people die.
No. You just wouldn't want this to happen to anybody.
Peter, Sam Cucchiaro from A Current Affair.
Sam Cucchiaro confronted the owners of Epping Gardens in Melbourne, who were living the high life as devastated families launched a class action against that facility, alleging staff shortages and cost cutting.
Many of your residents have lost their lives. Anything to say to those families, Peter?
Oh yeah, can we go home and on? The outpouring of love and willingness to help has just been overwhelming. The love that is out there in the community for Will. I suppose, thank you to everybody.
Finally, some good news. William Callahan, the little boy living with autism, captured our hearts. Rescued after he went missing during a bushwalk for 48 hours, surviving sub-zero temperatures.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful.
I lay in bed every night, staring at the ceiling, thinking, how the hell am I going to get out? Because I'm the dad, you know.
He was the hero of Beaconsfield. Darren Flanagan freed Todd Russell and Brant Webb. When Brady Halls caught up with him, he had another fight on his hands, saving his small business and getting access to disaster coverage he desperately needed.
Tried really, really hard. But those fires and then the floods and then the coronavirus, and now to be fighting Chubb at this point, I just can't win this one, you know. I just don't feel like I can, not without help. I've got to think Current Affair, you know.
You all dug deep, and Chubb Insurance eventually came to the party.
Cal, I want to thank Australia, because there's no way in the world this would have happened without you guys. You know, you donated $50,000.
Once again, COVID case numbers soared. The second wave was coming as Victoria was officially declared a state of disaster.
This is the only way to get these numbers under control.
Tell us what it's like in there at the moment.
Mate, it's horrible. People are starving, being refused medical care.
3,000 residents trapped in 9 public housing towers as the virus took hold again.
This test only tests for coronavirus.
There was confusion.
Your wife lives in 3055, but you, Zua, you live in 3056.
Yes.
So, your wife can't leave home, but you can.
Anger.
Just think, in Victoria, no bars, no restaurants, tourism facilities closed. This government has never accepted any responsibility.
Inside this ICU, the true heroes.
The whole unit is full of COVID patients, all on ventilators. It's also been very emotionally draining when we've had patients who've been here for weeks who have died.
Families unable to leave their homes.
How did you get into Queensland across the border when it's closed to Victorians?
But there were some wealthy Victorians who thought they were exempt. Peter Fox of the Lynn Fox trucking empire escaped with the family to the Sunshine State.
I'm allowed to reside here. It's completely official.
So you guys are just holed up here on the Lady Pamela, not saying a word to a current affair or to your fellow Victorians about how you've been able to get out of stage 4 lockdown and up here to sunny Queensland.
Mark Simmons and family thought they could also skip hotel quarantine until Dan Nolan held them accountable, marched off to the QT Hotel on the Gold Coast.
Have you anything to say to the people you infected, ladies? How about the businesses who lost money?
Then there was the Border Brats trio, lying about their travels and kicking off a COVID surge in Queensland. Their brother speaking with Chris Allen.
Because you like, y'all want to run all the way to the media talking over this.
Can you imagine what they are going through, Premier? Or are you too focused on the opinion polls?
But this cruel border twist was the final straw.
I don't understand why.
Terminally ill brain cancer patient Gary Ralph and his wife Wendy forced into 14 days hotel quarantine until Tracy made this passionate plea to Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk.
I watched a dear friend nurse her husband through that. Every minute is precious and he is fragile. He is exactly why exemptions exist.
And we got him home at last.
Thank you. If ACA hadn't picked up our story once they did, we wouldn't be here today.
Sadly, Gary lost his battle, but it was in the comfort of his own home.
Will your daughters be still paying off this debt?
We kept asking and got the answers you deserved.
Some people have sacrificed everything, and now because of some government mistakes and a few randy security guards, ill-disciplined security guards, we're back to square one there. Are you cranky?
Getting cranky doesn't help. No one elected me to be cranky.
What's the next one?
Push-ups! To get through COVID, we had some luck.
How's it going? No, it's better than none of that.
After the break, more on this crazy, colourful year.